On this channel, we share true ghost stories. Will you listen as night falls and nightmares come alive? Will you dare to listen with the lights off? Subscribe now and get ready to be terrified every night. Based on a true story. I can't let you stay here anymore. Move out by the end of this month. After saying those harsh words, the landlady walked down from the house and left. Susie's family could only lower their heads in silence. They had less than a week before the end of the month. They needed to find a new place immediately. Because Susie's family was large, finding a house was extremely difficult. Her younger brother, Thura, was a bit troublesome and often shouted loudly. Over time, the landlady grew tired of it. On top of that, Susie's brother David's wife had just given birth not long ago. Susie began calling every friend she knew, asking for help. She made phone calls and even met people in person to explain their situation. On the third day, a small ray of hope appeared. If you're not too picky, there's an old factory outside town. It's a bit far, but you could live there comfortably. A factory? Can people even live there? Yes. Next to the factory, there's a 2-story workers' housing building. There are many rooms. You can choose any room you like and just move in. They didn't have much choice anymore. The moving deadline was approaching fast. So Susie sent David and their Uncle Mike to check it out. The factory had gone bankrupt and was now abandoned. The landowner had assigned someone to guard it, and the rent was very cheap. That was the biggest advantage. There were many rooms, perfect for a big family like theirs. The factory stood on the western side of a large industrial zone. It was surrounded by tall brick walls. The land area was huge. Beside the main factory building was a warehouse, and across from it stood a long 2-story workers' dormitory building with about 20 rooms. It was quiet. Very quiet. There were empty lots surrounding the factory. No neighboring buildings. Just silence. David liked it immediately. He and Uncle Mike cleaned 4 or 5 rooms on the ground floor and decided to stay overnight to test it. That night, after eating and drinking a little alcohol, they lay down to sleep. Around 3 a.m., David woke up. He heard footsteps walking outside their room. At first, he thought it was Uncle Mike. But his uncle was sleeping beside him. Thinking thieves might have entered, David suddenly opened the door and stepped outside. But instead of a thief, he saw an old woman. She had a Chinese face. Her eyes glowed faint green in the darkness. Who are you?" David asked. The old woman slowly approached him, pointed at him, and said, "Why are you in my house? Leave immediately." David, who was not easily frightened, became angry and punched her in the face. The moment he did, it felt as if he fell into a deep, endless pit. He heard the old woman laughing loudly. Suddenly, he woke up. He was still lying where he had been sleeping. It was just a dream, he told himself. But just as he lay back down, someone kicked their door violently and ran down the corridor. Exhausted, David didn't get up to check. The next morning, he returned home and told the family everything was fine. He decided not to tell them about the strange experience. When they moved in, everyone was happy. Each person finally had their own room. That night, as part of their religious tradition, the family gathered to pray in their new home. While they were praying with their eyes closed, they heard people running. At first, Susie thought her younger brother and mother had stood up and run out. But when she opened one eye slightly, everyone was still sitting in place. Everyone heard it. "Maybe our prayers scared away the evil spirits," her father joked. They laughed it off. But 3 days later, strange things began happening. Susie's mother woke early each morning to cook. The kitchen was at the far end of the building. One early morning, while she was cooking rice, she heard knocking on the glass door. Knock. Knock. But it wasn't random. It followed the rhythm of a song. Outside the glass door, there was no walkway, only tall grass. Susie's mother realized something was wrong. Later that day, relatives came to visit. Children were running and playing around the factory yard. Suddenly, one child stood near the toilet area and shouted towards something invisible. "What are you shouting at?" his mother asked. "There's a teacher calling me from near the toilet. There are 3 or 4 people with her." But no one was there. It was 3 p.m. in broad daylight. That evening, Susie heard the same rhythmic knocking on her bedroom's glass door. She listened for 3 minutes. "If you're a ghost, don't try to scare me like this." "I'm not afraid." After she lay down, she heard heavy running footsteps directly above her room on the 2nd floor. But no one lived upstairs. That night, she dreamed. She was standing inside the factory yard. Near the toilet area, an old Chinese man and about 10 people were staring at her. The old man's eyes glowed green. "Don't disrespect us," he said. "We were here before you. We live in the banyan trees." They slowly approached her. She tried to run, but her feet wouldn't move. Cold hands grabbed her body. She screamed and woke up, sweating in the cold winter air. At 6 a.m., she went to check behind the toilet building. At first, she saw nothing. But beside the toilet wall was a narrow passage. She squeezed through. Behind the toilet, there were several banyan trees growing there, just like in her dream. Later, the caretaker revealed the truth. The former factory owner's father, a Chinese man, had lived in the upstairs room directly above Susie's bedroom. He died there. After that, the factory business collapsed. Many people tried living there after the closure, but none lasted more than a week or a month. Susie understood. That evening, she looked toward the upstairs room and said, "Ghosts of this factory, you stay in your place. We'll stay in ours. We're all just struggling to survive. Let's not disturb each other." After that, the hauntings noticeably decreased. They still saw figures walking sometimes, still heard footsteps, but they were no longer aggressively disturbed. Susie's family lived in that factory for about 3 years before finally moving back to the city. David, however, said he liked living there. Even today, that abandoned factory still stands on the western side of an industrial zone near a mountain town. And the banyan trees are still there.